has a father, but I had a daddy who tucked me in bed every night. And I had no idea how blessed I was. I really didn't. I had a daddy that would get off work. He'd be dripping with sweat and tired and dirty. And I'd be outside shooting basketball hoops, and he'd come over and go, "Here." Not because he was excited about playing a game of basketball at that moment. He did it because he was excited about me. He wanted to spend time with me. And throughout my childhood, all the way, he taught me how to shave. He taught me how to work hard. He was there for me. And when I went into ministry, my first week in ministry, it was a wake-up call. I had no idea. First week, I had a lady call me. She's a mom who called me up and said, "My son needs to enroll in high school. He's going to be a freshman next year, and they want everyone to enroll and walk through and see where all the classes are going to be. And his father's unable to do it." I said, "Oh, I can do that. No problem. Father unable to do it." I didn't know what that meant until I showed up and realized that even though it was early in the morning, this boy's father was already out of it. Passed out on a couch. And I went home after I dropped him off, just thinking about that young man, feeling really bad for him and his life. And then the next day, it was a different family and a different situation. And I realized how rare it is to have a good man in the house. It's rare. And I realized how blessed I was. So I called my father, my first year of ministry, and I said, "Dad, I did not know how good I had it. I didn't know how blessed I was. So just in case, I just needed to let you know, through all those teenage years, if I ever gave you a headache, if I was ever ornery, I'm so sorry. I had no idea how blessed I was to have a good dad in the house." It is a rarity. When the Israelites left Egypt, their family structures were fractured. They had been slaves for years, and they didn't leave as this perfect family unit, with mom and dad and 2.3 kids with grandma and grandpa and their head and neck. It had been demolished by the Egyptians. Their family, the institution of family had been ripped apart. And as they left into the wilderness, they're leaving as orphans and widows. And they're leaving with so much chaos and disruption within something that's supposed to be solid for us. And I share that with you to share this beautiful verse, and I picked one of many. It says this all the time about God, what I'm about ready to read, but this is one passage I just loved. It's just beautifully written. It's a description of God, and what I'm going to say is it's not only a description of God, but it should be a description of our habits. And if Miles City Christian is going to represent Christ well, this ought to not only to be describing the God we serve, but it should describe our heartbeat as well. It reads, "Father of the fatherless, the protector of widows is God in his holy habitation. God settles the solitary in a home." Solitary meaning lonely, the lonely person, the person all by themselves. "He leads out the prisoners to prosperity, but the rebellious dwell in a parched land." I love this description of God. This is exciting. And I want you today to be very encouraged. If you are fatherless, our God is the right God for you. If you're a widow, our God is the right God for you. If you are alone and all by yourself, God is there for you. He's the right God. If you're a prisoner, whether you're a prisoner because you're actually in prison or because you're a prisoner to your sin, you're a prisoner to addiction, you're a prisoner to your own emotions, your own anger, or your own wild, wicked tongue, whatever you're a prisoner to, I want you to know our God is a perfect God for you. Because our God is for those who are in need. And if you're in need, He is perfect for your situation. There's a video that you need to YouTube today. Derek Redmond. Do you remember Derek Redmond? Anyone in here know that name? He was an Olympic racer. He ran in 1992. He had already won a couple gold medals up to that point, but they thought that was going to be the year he was going to break the world record in the 400 meter. And so he lines up with everyone else, and they fire, boom, and he takes off, and he's running as fast as he can, and he turns the corner, and it looks like he's going to do great, and all of a sudden he reaches back, and he grabs his leg. He ripped his hamstring. He hobbles for a bit, and then falls to the ground. He's done. And you watch the video, if anyone remember that race, he's on the ground and you are hurt. Have you ever seen someone hurt and you're like, oh, I've had sympathy pains before. Whenever someone like bangs their head, it hurts my head. I don't know if you know, and maybe it's just because I'm not very smart to realize it's not me getting hurt. I don't know. But you watch the video and I'm in pain. It's like, oh, my leg. You can just see him in pain. And he gets up. And he tries his best to hobble forward. He's jumping on one leg, trying to finish the race. People come over to try to help him, and he shoos them away. He doesn't have anything to do with them, and he keeps going and going and going. And finally, this guy from the stands, this normal-looking guy, he doesn't look like another runner. He comes running out of the stands onto the field. He has his baseball cap on. He's a big fella with a big shirt, and he comes running over towards his son. And he looked like a dad. It's his son. He's running over, and security comes over to stop him. And he just shoos the security guy away. No, get out of my way. And he comes over to his boy, who's already rejected any help. And he's hobbling towards the finish line, and here comes his father. And he touches him, and his father turns. And immediately, it's like he just touches him and knows who it is. And he puts his arm around his father. And the emotion that comes out of this athlete, this Olympic gold champion, just breaking down and weeping. He puts one arm over his dad and he covers his face and he allows his father to help him over the finish line. I watched that and I'm going, that heartbeat, that father who's in the stands that went, that's my boy. You have to get out there and help your boy. You have to get out there and help your kid. This is mine. And he jumps out and he runs out, and it doesn't matter if security's in the way, he's going to get to his child. His child is in need, and he's going to help him finish that finish line. And that is the heartbeat of our God. He's a father to the fatherless. He's a protector of widows. He's the type of God that if you're all by yourself and there's no one in your life to turn to, He is your home. If you're a prisoner, He's your prosperity. He's God, and He loves you so deeply. That's the God we serve. And it's not just, if I look at that verse again, it's not just the fact that He's a God who notices the fatherless, and He notices the widow. He actually does something about their situation. He comes in and it's not just that He has a heart for them, He works for them. He comes in to save the day. And what He provides those in need is the greatest thing you can give anyone when they're in need. He gives them Himself. You're fatherless, I'm your father. You're a widow, I'm your advocate. I'll protect you. You're in need, I will fill that need. And imagine filling any need with the magnitude of God himself. He fills it completely. That's our God. I'm 42 years old. I'm a man. I've got a wife. I have 6 kids. I've got a house. I've got a job. I'm a man. I don't need my dad. But I called my dad a couple weeks ago. And I called him up, and I was just griping a little bit about the work I had to do. I have like 3 acres. I have all this land, and I have some trees that have fallen over, and I haven't gotten to dealing with these trees yet. So I'm just talking, I'm like, yeah, I've got this land. I have to go figure out what to do with these trees, and I have a lot to do. And my dad's like, oh, he didn't hear me griping. Do you know what he heard? I need you, Daddy. That's what he heard. And he's like, oh, he needs me. He hangs up. He's like, we're heading. Let's go. He shows up, 4-hour drive. Vroom, he's there. He's getting out. He's got his chainsaw. He's got his weed eater. He's ready to help because his boy's in trouble. That's a good dad. And he's out there. He's coming. He's telling me things that were wrong I wasn't expecting to work on. He's coming over going, hey, you had some poison ivy over there. I took care of it for you. You have hornet's nest over here. We need to burn them out. Let's get them. He's going to town. I'm like, whoa, I was just looking at these. He's doing bonfires. He's making sure all the kids have s'mores, Well, we have to have a family event. We have to do this right, We're eating s'mores now. I was just going to get rid of these trees. I was just griping about it. But he has this heart for his son. And he's like, I've got to go. And I've got to be there. And I've got to fill that need. And I want you to know something. I've been very, very blessed. And to those who have been given much, much is required. And I know that. I know I've been blessed. I know a lot's going to be required of me. But I want you to know whatever your situation is, if you're one that's in need, I want you to know that our God can fill that need for you. He can fill it for you. And he wants to. And he's working to do it. And he looks down at you. You might feel like you're all alone. But he looks down and he goes, I want to come in and save the day. If you don't have a father, if you're missing, no one's going to teach you how to shave. No one's going to teach you how to be a man or how to be a lady. I want you to know you can look up and you will find a God who's looking down, ready to fill that need. If you're a widow and others don't understand what it's like to be up late at night, and you turn on the television not because you want to watch anything, but because you need more noise in the house. Because the emptiness is killing you. And you lost someone you deeply love, and no one else gets it. I want you to know you can look up, and you will find a God who is there, who is wanting to be your advocate. He's wanting to be your protector. If you're alone, if you're a loner, not because you want to be, but because there's no one else in your life. And you don't have family, and you don't have friends, and you feel so isolated, and you feel so by yourself. I want you to know you can look up, and God is there going, I'll be your home. I will be your community. I'm right here for you. I have a heart for you, and I'm working to provide what you need. If you're a prisoner, and you're so tired of all of your mistakes and you can't get rid of these chains, look up. Look up at God who is there going, I know how to make you prosper. Just lean into me. I can help. I want to. Now that's the heartbeat of our God. But I want you to know if that's the God we serve, we're supposed to have the same heartbeat that God has. That's what churches are supposed to be all about. If you've ever gone into church and you've been frustrated but you haven't known why, and you've just been irritated going, I think church is supposed to be more than this. Has anyone ever been there where you're like, I don't know. And you're tired of religion. You're tired of tradition. You're tired of condemnation. You're tired of judgy attitudes. You're tired of coming in and having this high church mentality, I want you to know that there is a type of religion that is beautiful to God. It's found in James chapter 1, verse 27. James 1:27 says this: religion that is pure and undefiled before God the Father is this: to visit orphans and widows in their afflictions, and to keep oneself unstained from the world. And it's almost a two-parter there, where it's like, yeah, there's churches that do a great job of living these holy life, and that is part of our faith, is to do our best to live righteous lives for God. But what good is that if you lose the heartbeat of God in trying to live for Him, and you don't look after widows, and you don't look after orphans? That's our job. And so what I want to ask you to do is to look around your neighborhood this month, this week. Would you look down your street on the way home today? Would you, well, actually after the tree lighting. Why don't we go to the tree lighting first and get soaked, I guess. but look around your street. Look at your neighbors. And see if there's someone there who doesn't have a father. It was just a few weeks ago, I sat down with just a fine young man who's getting ready to venture off on his own. He's starting his first job, and he's getting ready to try to make a life for himself. And he looks at me across to a McDonald's table and says, I don't know anything about budgets. I don't know how to do this. And I thought, how did I figure that out? Oh yeah, I had a daddy. I had a daddy that sat down and said, this is how you do it. And he taught me. Who's going to teach this young man? Who's going to look over and find the young man that doesn't know how to shave yet? Who's going to teach him? Who's going to teach him how to be a young man? And as a church, that's our job. We'll take it on. Why don't we do that? Why don't we look around in our neighborhoods, and we'll find everyone that doesn't have a father, and we will go in with the same heartbeat that our God has, and we'll say, we'll fill that need. You're an orphan? I got a room. You're a young man? I'm here to guide you and direct you. I will fill that need. Look down your neighborhood. Look in your cul-de-sac and see if there's a widow nearby. See if there's someone who's elderly. Go over to them and tell them that you will never have to mow your yard again. I just have to mow it once, you're done for the year. You're almost there. Yeah, you never have to mow your yard again. Don't even pay me. You're not going to pay me a thing. And then they'll argue with you, and you'll go, fine. You can bring the money to church or go to a movie or something, because it might be less burdensome to take the money. Okay, you get it. But whatever it is, why don't you go into someone's life and say, I see this need. I'll do whatever I can to fill it. I'm going to invade in the same way a father would invade the field to grab his son who's tripped. That's our job. That's your job. Let's do that as a church. How about someone who's really lonely? Is there someone you work with that doesn't have anywhere to eat Thanksgiving? Nowhere. They've got no family. They've got no friends. They're going to be all alone this Thanksgiving. Why not invite them to your house? Well, it's because at my house we have our family Thanksgiving. I know. That's why you're going to invite them, because they don't have a family. And then they could come and they could share your family. They could have a mom. They could have kids. They could experience the joy of family, and they will leave so grateful. And that's the heartbeat of God, for us to recognize the needs in others and have a desire to pour out of ourselves and give them the greatest gift we can, which is ourselves. Let's give them of ourselves, just like our God loved us so much 2,000 years ago that even though we had sinned, He came down and gave His own Son Himself to die on a cross for our sins. That's what He did. You know anyone who's a prisoner? A prisoner to addiction? A prisoner to their emotions? A prisoner to to their tongue, why not drop to your knees and begin to pray for God to give you wisdom? Not them. Lord, give me wisdom. How could I help them to prosper? How can I come alongside them and be that support? I want to be the hands of Jesus. I want to be the eyes of Jesus. I want to be the feet of Jesus. Let me live for you so that they can see you in their life. That's what we're called to be. The church, the body of Christ. And that's what I want Miles City to be. And this is what I believe. That if we did that, there would be a huge explosion, a huge revival in Stoddard County. Because I think people are sick and tired of just a talk. I think they're tired of a game. They're tired of church politics. And what people want to see is people's lives actually improve and get better because of the work of Jesus Christ in their lives. And that can happen if we just devote ourselves to it. He is a father to the fatherless. I love that. He's a protector for the widows. I love that. Let us match his heart in our lives. I've been so blessed to have a good daddy. And I have a responsibility now with that, but it's not just to my own kids. Since God has blessed me so much, I have a responsibility to others that haven't received that same thing. And this is my hope today from this message. That if you're in need, if you have true needs in your life, I pray that today you would leave so encouraged and so hopeful that God loves you and wants to fill those needs. And I pray that you'd look up to find that. And I also, this is my prayer, and this is my desire, that if you've been blessed, that you will desire and ask God, Lord, open my eyes and my heart so that I can be this for those around me. And let's put more responsibility on our shoulders so that we can help those who have fallen down.